Hey everybody, and welcome back to another lecture with Coding with Roby. In this exercise, we're going to be doing our string assignment together. And the reason we're doing it together is because there is a lesson to be learned here, which I will be able to teach you guys. If you want to try this yourself, feel free. But if you get stuck, just resume the video. So the assignment is to ask the user how many days until their birthday, and then to print an approximation number of weeks until their birthday. And a week is equal to 7 days, and decimals are allowed. So what we can say is we need to ask the user for a number and then divide that number by 7 to get the number of weeks. So let's start by creating a variable called days, which is equal to an input of how many days until your birthday. And then once we capture this number, we probably just want to print days divided by 7. Now watch what happens when we run this application. How many days until your birthday? I'm going to say 300. And boom, we get a huge error of this print days divided by 7 does not work because of a type error of unsupported operand types for string and int. Now this is an interesting issue. We're trying to divide the number 300 by 7. And you would think this works because we're asking the user to pass in an integer. Well, what we can do here is we can wrap days with something called type. And now what this is going to do is going to print the type of what days is. So let's rerun the application. And let's type in 300 again. And there it is. This solves our issue. Days is a string. So even though the user is typing in 300, Python does not think 300 is an integer because it's as if you just typed in quotation marks 300, just like this. And this cannot be divided by a number. So what we need to do is convert days from strings to an integer before dividing the integer of days divided by 7. We can do this by something called a wrapper. Maybe we can use an integer wrapper by saying int parentheses right over the input. Now what this wrapper does is it converts a number or string to an integer or returns 0 if no arguments are given. If x is a number, return x. So what this is saying is when a string gets passed in, if the string is able to be converted to an integer, it will do this. If the string is not able to be converted to an integer, then it's just going to return 0 or it's going to throw an error. So now if we run the application and we type in 300, we can see that days is of type int now and not type string. So if we remove this type and we now say days divided by 7 and we rerun the application, we can now see that we get 42.857 and so on and so forth. Now if we wanted just to make sure it was just to the second decimal, we can now wrap this inside something called round. And we can say round, wrap days divided by 7, and then inside this we can say comma 2. If we rerun the application now, we can see that we just get 42.86 as the response because we are using a round function that is given to us by Python. And what round will allow us to do is round a number to a given precision in decimal digits. And you can do this by, after passing in the equation or the number, we can specify how many decimals we want at the end, which is going to be 2. Now for this assignment, round was not needed. I'm just throwing this in here as an added bonus to your learning. This wraps up the string assignment that we will be doing together, and I will see you in the next video.